Have you ever noticed how a tiny green dot on a screen can hold your entire peace of mind hostage? What if the device in your hand, designed to bring you closer to the world, is actually the very thing trapping you in a cycle of silent suffering? You send a message, you put your phone down, you wait, and then you check again. You see it, they are online, they are active, they are typing somewhere to someone. But your message remains unanswered. In that brief, agonizing moment, your chest tightens. Your mind begins to spin with 100 different scenarios. You feel a sudden, sharp ache of being unseen, unimportant, or intentionally ignored. If you have ever felt this specific, exhausting kind of modern anxiety staring at a screen, waiting for someone to validate your existence, wondering why you are not a priority, this is for you. Stay until the end, because the final lesson may change the way you see this pain forever. Buddhist wisdom teaches us a profound truth. Suffering is not caused by the external world, but by our attachment to how we demand the world to be. We suffer because we cling, we crave certainty, we crave a response to feel safe, and when we do not receive it, in the exact moment we desire it, our mind builds a prison out of panic. But here is the truth. You are not actually suffering because they are online. You are suffering because of the heavy, painful meaning you are attaching to their digital presence. Imagine a bird sitting inside a cage with the door completely open. The endless sky is right there. The wind is calling. But the bird refuses to look up. Instead, it keeps staring at the bottom of the cage, desperately waiting for a single seed to be dropped from above. It forgets its own wings. It forgets the vast, beautiful world outside. It shrinks its entire magnificent existence down to that one missing seed. When you sit and watch someone's active status, waiting for a reply that may not come, you are that bird. You are locking yourself in an open cage, handing the key to someone who is not even looking at the door. You are shrinking your entire emotional state down to a flashing pixel on a piece of glass. We live in an age where access to others is instantaneous. But we make a tragic mistake. We confuse digital visibility with emotional availability. We convince ourselves that if they have the time to be online, they owe us their immediate attention. But someone holding a phone does not mean they hold the capacity, the clarity, or the intention to connect with you in this moment. Ask yourself, right now, as you feel that familiar ache in your chest, what are you truly waiting for? Are you waiting for a simple combination of words on a screen? Or are you waiting for them to prove your worth? Is their delayed response truly defining your value? Or is your mind using their silence to feed your deepest insecurities? Pause, breathe. Step away from the glowing screen. Look around the quiet room you are in. Observe the urge to check their status again, but do not act on it. Let that anxious feeling rise, and let it pass like a solitary cloud drifting across a vast, empty sky. You do not have to chase what is making you feel small, because peace is not found in a notification. It is found in the quiet realization that your dignity does not depend on someone else's immediate attention. But pulling your eyes away from the screen is only the first step. Because beneath the surface of this modern waiting game, there is a hidden expectation that is silently breaking your heart. And this is where the next truth begins. 2. The suffering of expectation. Here is a truth few people want to face. The true source of your heartbreak is rarely the silence of another person. It is the loud, demanding expectations echoing inside your own mind. You send a message, and immediately an invisible clock starts ticking. You calculate how long it takes to read. You imagine what they are doing. You measure their response time against your own, thinking, if I care about them, I reply instantly. So if they do not reply instantly, they must not care. You expect them to match your energy, your urgency, your exact emotional rhythm. And when they do not, you feel betrayed by the very scenario you created in your head. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that suffering arises the moment we demand reality to be something other than what it is. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the practice of non-attachment to outcomes. When we attach ourselves to a specific result, like a fast reply, an apology, or a validation of our feelings, we are no longer living in the present. We are living in a fabricated future. Expectation is a subtle, exhausting form of control. It is the ego's way of saying, the world must behave exactly as I wish, or I cannot be at peace. Imagine standing by the edge of a quiet river. You hold a small leaf, and you gently place it into the water. Your part is done. The river will carry it at its own speed. Sometimes the water is swift, and sometimes it catches the leaf in a slow, quiet eddy where it simply rests. But if you try to walk alongside the river, throwing stones to force the leaf to move faster, you will only create muddy, turbulent waves. You might even sink it entirely. Every time you send a message, you are placing a leaf in the river. But instead of letting it float, your expectations try to control the current. We write secret scripts for the people in our lives. We decide exactly how they should act to prove their respect or their love. If they are online, they must message me first. If they read it, they must reply immediately. When they fail to follow a script they never even agreed to, we feel rejected. We suffer not because of what they did, but because reality did not match our illusion. Think about your own life. What are you still holding on to? When you look at that unanswered message, ask yourself, are you seeking a genuine connection, or are you seeking a guarantee? Are you truly loving this person as they are, or are you loving the script you wrote for them? Is this expectation bringing you peace, or feeding your fear? Do your part, then release the outcome. Let the leaf float. When you feel the tight, anxious urge to check if they have finally replied, pause, breathe. Observe the expectation rising in your chest, but do not follow it. You have already spoken. You do not need to manage their reaction. You do not need to force the river to move, because true peace is not found in controlling how others respond to you. It is found in surrendering the need to control them at all. But when you are met with silence, the mind rarely stays quiet. It begins to search for a reason. And this is where the next truth begins. Because when the screen stays completely blank, silence can start to feel like an intentional attack. 3. Why silence feels like a weapon. What if the silence you are so afraid of has absolutely nothing to do with you? Here is the truth few people want to face. When you are left on read, when the green dot glows but your inbox remains empty, the quiet does not feel peaceful. It feels loud. It feels like a punishment. You wait hours, maybe days. Every time your phone vibrates, your heart jumps, only to sink again when it is just a meaningless alert. We view this digital silence as a withdrawal of affection, a calculated move to establish dominance, or a confirmation of our deepest fear, that we are easy to ignore. We take their non-response and turn it into a sharpened blade, slowly cutting away at our own self-worth. In Buddhist thought, we learn about the concept of emptiness not as a dark void of nothingness, but as a space free from inherent meaning. Silence itself is empty. It has no built-in malice, no voice, no judgment. It is merely the absence of a response in a specific moment of time. But Buddhist wisdom teaches us that our ego rushes into that empty space, desperate to fill it. We personalize everything. We assume we are the center of the other person's universe, and therefore, their lack of action must be a direct reaction to us. But Buddhism reminds us that the mind is a master illusionist, turning a neutral lack of action into a deeply personal attack. Imagine standing on the edge of a vast, quiet canyon. You shout into the void, hoping for a beautiful, affirming echo. But the wind shifts, and no sound returns to you. Only stillness. The canyon is not rejecting you. The wind is not angry with you. The silence of the vast space is entirely neutral. But if you stand on that ledge, convinced that the mountain is purposefully ignoring you, convinced that the silence means you do not matter, you will leave feeling broken and small. The canyon did not hurt you. Your demand for an echo did. This is what happens when we tie our dignity to a screen. We stare into the digital silence, projecting all our past rejections and current anxieties onto their online status. We think they are deliberately ignoring us to prove a point. We imagine them laughing with others, purposely leaving us in the dark. But often, they are just living their own complex, chaotic life. They might be overwhelmed. They might be carrying burdens they have not spoken about. They might be staring at their own phone, paralyzed by their own silent struggles. Or they might simply not have the capacity to connect in that exact moment. Their silence is just a canyon. You are the one turning it into a prison. Think about your own life. Whose silence has been controlling your mood today? What story are you whispering into the empty spaces they left behind? What are you afraid this silence actually means about you? Is this thought bringing you peace or feeding your fear? Pause, breathe. Stop trying to force the door open. Let the silence just be silence. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not need to fill the quiet with stories of your unworthiness. Observe the quiet without following the panic. Because peace is not about forcing an answer out of someone. It is about becoming comfortable in the spaces where no answer is given. But the human mind despises empty spaces. When reality gives us silence, our anxiety works overtime to write a terrifying script. And this is where the next truth begins. Because the stories we invent are almost always more painful than reality itself. 4. The trap of creating stories. What if the most painful words you hear today are not spoken by the person ignoring you, but by your own mind? Here is the truth. The screen is silent, but your head is deafeningly loud. When you see them online, but your message sits unanswered, a terrifying habit of the mind takes over. You do not just wait, you investigate. You replay your last conversation. You analyze the exact wording of your text. Did I say too much? Was I too needy? Are they talking to someone more interesting? You become the author, the director, and the tragic lead. In a movie that only exists in your own head, you suffer through 100 fabricated rejections before reality has even unfolded. One of the deepest lessons of Buddhism is the teaching of the two arrows. When something painful happens, like being left unread, that is the first arrow. It strikes you, it hurts, it brings a flash of disappointment. But instead of simply feeling the pain of the first arrow, we immediately pick up the second arrow and stab ourselves with it. The second arrow is the story we create about the pain. It is the self-blame, the overthinking, the catastrophic predictions of abandonment. The first arrow is a simple, temporary event, but the second arrow is the suffering we actively inflict upon ourselves through the illusions of a wandering mind. Imagine sitting alone in a dimly lit room with a single candle burning in the center. A small, harmless moth flutters near the flame, but because of the angle of the light, the moth casts a giant, terrifying shadow of a monster against the wall. You cower in the corner, your heart races, you are paralyzed by fear, bracing for an attack. But the monster is not real. You are being terrorized by a tiny insect and a trick of the light. When you stare at that green online indicator, your mind takes the tiny moth of a delayed response and casts a monstrous shadow of complete rejection on the walls of your mind. You allow a small, glowing pixel to convince you that you are fundamentally unlovable. You let a trick of digital light persuade you that you are losing someone, when in reality, They might just be replying to a coworker or mindlessly staring at a screen. You are fighting a shadow. Think about your own life. What terrifying shadow are you staring at right now? Look at the story your mind is spinning about their silence. Ask yourself, is this an absolute fact, or is it the second arrow? Are you suffering because of what they actually did, or are you suffering because of the terrible fiction you have written about it? Is this thought bringing you peace or feeding your fear? Pause, breathe. Observe the thought without following it. When the mind starts to write a tragic ending, gently interrupt it. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to believe every anxious thought that crosses your mind. You can recognize the shadow for what it is, and you can step out of the dark. Because peace is not found by figuring out exactly what the other person is thinking. It is found by refusing to let your own mind become your greatest enemy. But stopping the story requires something incredibly difficult. It requires you to physically stop feeding the anxiety, and this is where the next truth begins. Because every time you refresh that screen, you are abandoning yourself. 5. Reclaiming your attention. What if the real tragedy is not that they are ignoring you, but that you are ignoring yourself? Here is the truth. When you are desperately waiting for a reply, your entire focus shifts outward. You refresh the app. You check their last seen status. You watch their stories just to see if they are active. You might be physically sitting in your living room, but mentally, you are living inside their phone. You are abandoning your own life, your own tasks, and your own peace just to monitor someone else's digital footprint. Every single time you pick up the phone to check if that green dot is still there, you are actively handing over your personal power. Buddhist wisdom teaches us the profound value of mindfulness and presence. Where we direct our attention is where we direct our life energy. In Buddhist thought, clinging to external validation scatters the mind, pulling us away from our own center. True mindfulness is the practice of calling your spirit back to the present moment. When you constantly check on someone who is absent, you are pouring your vital life force into an empty space. You are leaving your own body to chase a ghost. Imagine a person standing in the middle of a beautiful blooming garden, holding a single pitcher of water. But instead of watering their own fragile flowers, they stand at the fence, staring into their neighbor's yard. They pour their precious water onto a cold, hard concrete driveway, desperately hoping a rose will suddenly grow there. Their pitcher slowly empties. Their own garden begins to wither and dry up. They are exhausting all their resources on a place that cannot receive it, while completely neglecting the ground beneath their own feet. This is what you do every time you abandon your present moment to check their active status. You are pouring your precious mental energy, your water, onto the concrete of a digital screen. You lose hours of your day. You neglect your work, your passions, your friendships, and your own emotional well-being. You are trying to force a connection in a space that is currently closed to you, while letting your own inner world wither from pure neglect. Think about your own life. Where is your attention right now? Look at the screen in your hand and ask yourself, what beautiful things in your own life are dying of thirst? Because you are pouring all your energy into someone else's silence. What would happen if you took all that frantic, anxious energy and gave it back to yourself? Pause, breathe, put down the phone, bring your awareness back to your own physical body. Feel your feet resting on the floor. Take a long, deep breath. Reclaim your attention. Water your own garden. Let the feeling rise without making it your identity. You do not have to abandon yourself just because someone else is distant, because peace is not found by constantly monitoring the actions of others. It is found by returning to your own center. But pulling your focus back inward brings up a new, unsettling challenge. And this is where the next truth begins. Because when you finally stop checking, You must learn how to sit with the terrifying reality of things remaining unresolved. 6. The practice of letting be. What if the deepest relief comes not from finally getting an answer, but from no longer needing to force one? Here is the truth. We are terrified of things being unresolved. When a message is left hanging in the digital void, our immediate instinct is to fix it. The silence feels like an open wound, and we rush to stitch it closed. We consider double texting. We think about sending a question mark, a casual picture, or a long, emotional paragraph explaining how their silence makes us feel. We believe that if we just say the right combination of words, the tension will break, they will reply, and the crushing weight of uncertainty will finally lift. We are desperate to force a resolution, even if it means sacrificing our own peace to get it. Buddhism reminds us that much of our suffering comes from our desperate need to interfere with reality. We are taught a profound concept, the practice of letting be. This is deeply different from giving up. Letting be is the conscious, powerful choice to stop wrestling with a reality that is currently out of your hands. It is the wisdom of non-resistance. In Buddhist thought, when we try to force a situation to resolve before its time, we only create more turbulence. True acceptance means looking at an unresolved situation, acknowledging the discomfort, and deciding not to fight it. Imagine standing over a small, shallow pond that has been violently stirred up by a storm. The water is entirely muddy, dark, and chaotic. You cannot see the bottom. If you reach your hands into the water, desperately trying to smooth it out, trying to push the dirt away, to make it clear, you will only stir up more mud. The harder you try to force the water to be clear, the murkier it becomes. The only way the pond will ever become perfectly clear again is if you pull your hands out, step back, and simply let it be. In the quiet, the mud naturally settles. When you send that second, third, or fourth message to someone who is already active online but ignoring you, you are plunging your hands into muddy water. You are trying to force clarity through sheer panic. But human connections, like water, cannot be forced into stillness. If they are online and choosing not to reply, sending another message will not clear the tension. It will only stir up more anxiety, more regret, and a deeper sense of desperation. Think about your own life. What are you frantically trying to fix right now? Look at your urge to send one more message, to demand an explanation, to force the water to clear. Ask yourself, will reaching out again actually bring you true peace? Or will it just reset the clock on your anxiety? Are you genuinely trying to connect, or are you just trying to control the mud? Pause, breathe, step away from the pond. Let the water settle on its own time. You have done your part, you have spoken. Now, you must practice the profound discipline of doing absolutely nothing. Stop trying to force the door open. Let the silence remain unresolved for as long as it needs to. Because peace is not found by constantly managing how other people behave. It is found by trusting that whatever is meant for you will not require you to force it. But stepping back from the mud requires a deep sense of internal strength. It requires you to confront how you value yourself. And this is where the next truth begins. Because letting go of their response means finally standing up for your own dignity. 7. Protecting your dignity in the face of silence. What if the highest form of self-love is choosing not to beg for what should be given freely? Here is the truth few people want to face. When you see them online, happily engaging with the rest of the world, while your message sits entirely ignored, a quiet desperation sets in. You begin to negotiate your own worth. You think about sending a casual joke to break the ice. You wonder if you should apologize for something you did not even do. You start bending your boundaries, shrinking your self-respect, just to secure a tiny scrap of their attention. You convince yourself that a forced reply is better than no reply at all. But in doing so, you are actively trading your dignity for a digital crumb. Buddhist wisdom teaches us that our true nature is already whole and complete. We do not need external validation to make us worthy. In Buddhist thought, clinging to someone who is pulling away is a form of spiritual self-harm. It is forgetting your own inherent value. The practice of non-attachment does not mean you become cold or that you no longer care. It means you care enough about your own spirit to stop throwing it at closed doors. True detachment is the deep, unwavering knowing that your worth is not dependent on whether another person chooses to acknowledge it in this moment. Imagine a deeply rooted ancient tree standing quietly in a vast forest. When the rain clouds pass overhead without dropping any water, the tree does not panic. It does not uproot itself. It does not drag its heavy trunk across the forest floor, chasing the clouds, begging for a single drop of moisture. If it did, it would sever its own life source. It would destroy its own foundation. Instead, the tree simply stands tall in the silence. It trusts the deep, unseen depth of its roots. It knows that moving out of desperation will only kill it, and that eventually the right rain will fall. When you sit alone, staring at an unanswered message, drafting and deleting follow-up texts to someone who is deliberately ignoring you, you are uprooting yourself. You are tearing up your own foundation to chase a cloud that has already moved on. You forget how deeply rooted you are. You forget the life you have built, the inner strength you possess, and the quiet dignity that inherently belongs to you. No text message, no matter how perfectly crafted, is worth the cost of your own self-respect. Think about your own life. Look at the immense energy you are spending on someone who currently offers you nothing but silence. Ask yourself, are you abandoning your own quiet strength to chase an illusion? What would happen if you decided, right now, that your dignity is far more important than their reply? What are you afraid will happen if you simply let them go? Pause, breathe, feel your own strength. Let the feeling of rejection rise without making it your identity. You are not powerless. You do not have to chase what is already leaving. Hold on to your self-respect. Leave the silence exactly as it is. Stand firm in your own roots, because true peace is not found by convincing someone else of your value. It is found by refusing to forget it yourself. But realizing your worth is only part of the journey. When your heart is still heavily attached, how do you finally bring yourself back to balance? And this is where the final truth begins. 8. Returning to your own center. At the beginning of this journey, we talked about that tiny green dot. We talked about the agonizing feeling of sitting in a quiet room, staring at a glowing screen, allowing your entire peace of mind to be held hostage by someone else's digital footprint. We talked about the bird locking itself inside a cage with an open door, staring at the floor, waiting desperately for a single seed to fall. But now, you know the truth. The screen is not your cage. The silence is not a weapon forged against you. And their delayed response, or even their complete absence, is not a reflection of your inherent worth. You have walked through the illusion of control, the heavy burden of expectation, and the terrifying shadows cast by your own anxious mind. You have realized that suffering does not come from what they are doing, but from how tightly you are trying to hold on to an outcome you cannot control. In Buddhist thought, the ultimate freedom is found in this exact realization. True non-attachment is not about walking away from the world unfeeling and cold. It is the profound understanding that you are already whole, even in the empty spaces where no answers are given. Imagine that open cage one last time. You have spent so long staring at the bottom, waiting to be fed, waiting to be noticed, waiting to be validated. But today, you finally lift your head. You see the open door. You feel the fresh, cool wind of reality. You realize that you do not need to wait for a single crumb of attention to be given to you, because the vast, limitless sky has belonged to you all along. You simply have to step out of the illusion. The next time you see them online, and your message remains unanswered, the sudden silence might still sting. You are human, and your heart is still attached. That is natural. But you no longer have to let that temporary sting become a tragedy. You can observe the anxiety without letting it steer your life. You can let the feeling rise in your chest, acknowledge it gently, and watch it drift away like a solitary cloud over a quiet mountain. You can firmly choose not to pick up the second arrow. You can choose to leave the muddy water alone. You are allowed to care for them. You are allowed to miss the connection you hoped for, but you must never abandon yourself to find them. Pull your precious energy back from the digital void. Stop watering the cold concrete. Bring your attention back to your own breathing, your own body, and your own beautiful life. Stand firmly in your own roots, like that quiet, ancient tree, trusting that true connection does not require you to beg, force, or shrink yourself down to fit into someone else's timeline. Whatever is truly meant for you will not require you to sacrifice your dignity or destroy your inner peace to keep it. You do not need to manage the silence anymore. You do not need to constantly monitor the door. You just need to come back home to yourself, knowing that your presence is the most valuable thing you will ever possess. If these lessons touched your heart, share this video with someone who may need a little more peace today. You can let go now.